Welcome to Nourishing the Mother, an inspired conversation space between Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner on the journey of motherhood through the common thread of parenting, relationship, and sexuality as a path to consciousness.
We keep our conversations honest, our experiences real, and our philosophies exploratory. We believe that in order to raise incredible humans, we first have to raise ourselves. We know that in order to rock the family, you've got to nourish the mother. If you are here, you care about paving a path of conscious and intentional motherhood, connected with yourself and your gifts, and also illuminating your children in theirs so we may raise more whole humans who can impact this world in a more humane way.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively, head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper. And for all live-streamed pre-release podcasts and all our free content, head over to our free Facebook group, Nourishing the Mother with Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner. We are Julie Tenner and Bridget Wood, and we are so grateful you're here.
Hello and welcome to Nourishing the Mother. I'm Bridget Wood.
And I'm Julie Tenner. And today's podcast is setting up an easy back to school. And we want to make it super duper easy for you, don't we, Bridge?
We do, because I think once you just get past New Year and you get past the holiday vibes and you start to sink into the looming mountain of responsibilities, and we want to take the edge off that mountain, don't we?
That's so well said. So well said. So what we have with our mum wisdom, and both of us love to always contemplate how can we make life more easeful. So it's never just this idea of the pack horse that just keeps adding on more. But when we go, all right, how could this look different? How could this be more easeful? If this were easeful, what would it look like? So Bridgie and I are constantly refining our own lives in all of the different areas and categories, virtually through these questions or self-assessments. So here's what we've applied with our knowledge and skill set and what we do to set up an easy back to schools. It's 4 steps, and we want it to be super duper easy for you. So the mental load can just kind of evaporate and leave you alone.
Yes. Don't we all want that for the start of school?
Don't we? So number 1 is get the gear sorted.
Yes. So what you don't want to be doing, 2 days before is scrambling, realizing you don't have enough tops, or you're missing bloomers or socks or all of the necessary things that your kid needs to feel good at the start of a new school year, and what you need to feel less frazzled. So that means at least 2 to 3 weeks out, you're looking at, have I got all the uniforms in the right sizes for what they need this year? Do they have the runners that they need? Are they happy with their lunchboxes? Is it going to suit the kinds of lunches that I want to pack for them? Do we have all of the book lists sorted and the stationery? Is there anything I haven't thought of yet, above and beyond those basics?
Totally. And is everything labelled?
That's the big one too. Is everything labelled? Losing jumpers is a pain.
Oh, such a pain, especially when they're blazers and they're like $300 or something like that. So, yeah, totally. I love your summary. Just honestly, right now, just pick a day. I pick a day. I don't know how you do it, Bridgie, but I pick a day and just say to everyone, right, on this day or tomorrow or whatever it is, because we're preparing our children so that they're on board, we're going to do just a recon to make sure that everybody's got everything they need so we can all feel good and easeful starting. Because actually one of the biggest triggers for my son in particular, his anxiety peaks when he doesn't have something that he's supposed to have. So the way that I recognize that is that we just get prepared earlier so that we make sure we've got that stuff, we're sorted. Or as often happens, particularly in high school, you don't have that book's on delay, that's a digital order instead of a physical book, that we just go through each of those categories and he just knows, right? So your English book hasn't arrived. They've said it's going to come to school, so you won't have it to start. And he's like, fine, no worries. So he knows, yes. So it's all of those things of just making sure that you're setting your child's nervous system up for a really clean start, because there's nothing more frazzling to anybody's nervous systems. Yours is a mum mode and mental load, and theirs just as the child trying to enter an experience that is, I still think school is hard, like having to show up and be you and navigate a closer knit community with all of the trials and tribulations that come through friendship and growth and learning and development. And like, I do think it's hard.
Yeah.
So how can we set them and us up so that we're just going, oh, okay, set it and forget it. It's sorted, move on. It's all there. It's all packed, sorted, labeled, ready to go, easy.
And the beautiful thing about doing this a couple of weeks out is it becomes really integral to their own transition process as well. So anything that, you sense that they might be struggling with or like, ruminating around, you get like a, bit of an early heads up on that, and you get to have room for the conversations, and you get to have, more spaciousness in preparation for that new year level that they're entering, or the kinder that they're entering, without it being this kind of event right before school starts. So the great thing about getting them thinking about it and getting them responsible for it is that they also get to become, more able to move towards the discomfort.
Totally. So pick a day sometime in the next week, and you just sit down together, get out the book lists, you tick it off one by one. You go through the uniform list, you tick it off one by one. You make sure that you've got your first day of school clothes just separate in a bag, in a wardrobe, so you can easily pull them out the night before. You're just thinking, how can future self thank me right now?
Love it.
Number 2 is plan for easy lunchboxes.
Yeah, because lunchboxes can be a huge headache, like huge. And if you're anything like me, you like to do them, but you also sometimes leave them to the last minute and you go, oh shit, I don't have enough things for the lunchbox.
Totally.
So I suggest you start the year with a bit of a recipe. Maybe you could even be like recipe testing stuff. Like, if you want to put like slices in there that you want to make, even involve your child in like, what kind of snacks do you want in your lunchbox this year? Here's a couple of recipes. If they're old enough, you like make them, give them some ownership over their own lunchbox and what they want to have in there, so that that can also be part of, as you're talking about, like taking that edge off some of the nervousness or the anxiety around starting school. Because if kids have something to look forward to in their lunchbox, it can be just the right medicine for them in their day when they're really struggling. So involving them in that process is really good too.
Yeah, I just love having a system. So because it makes also just your weekly shop so much easier. So my younger 2 have bento boxes, and then my older 2 like everything in packets, because they literally in high school, they grab and go. They don't sit down to eat. So was a shock to me, completely different, or at least at my kids' high school, it might not be across the board. It's a completely different process to primary school. Now, as my eldest 2 are entering VCE and they start to have lunch rooms and access to microwaves and sandwich presses and things like that, I can see that is shifting and coming back again, which is lovely. But for that year 7 to year 9 bracket, they're so busy. They're busy making friends. They're busy doing sport. They're busy running nervous systems that have been frazzled while they've had to sit and pay attention and do all of the things in the classroom. They're not sitting down to eat your beautifully packed, wholesome spoon and fork lunch, is what I learned the hard way.
Yeah. From so many coming home, I imagine.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I keep it super easy. They all have different sandwich fillers. I know that doesn't sound easy, but in my head it is easy, because I just go, right, those 2 like salami, those 2 like chicken, those 2 like whatever, no butter, mayo, like just get in your head. I know exactly what it is, and share it with your partner, because Nick or because I work nights as well during the week, or he'll have sport, or, you're tag teaming. So just make sure that the mental load of what kid likes what and how they like it is shared in the relationship.
Yes.
And so it's really easy. I just know I always keep salami and chicken in the fridge or in the freezer. It's always there. So I'm never caught short. I literally will just buy a roast chook and I pull it apart, and there's spare chicken in the freezer. So on the days that I've forgotten, there it is, no problems. And so they have that. I make sure they've got 2 pieces of fruit. They each have it's going to sound crazy again, a different protein bar of some sort, but they all like different ones. So I always have those stocked. And then we have biscuits or crackers, and I have loads of different ones. And that literally makes up an entire bento box. And I just pack them all into Ziplocs that go into the high school kids. So I'm not packing 5,000 different things. It's very systematic. My brain's not having to work hard. They're having brown bread. They're having consistent. I'm always kind of going, yep, we've got fruit, we've got complex carb, we've got protein. And they usually have one sweet thing as well. So either I batch bake cakes or cupcakes and I keep them in the freezer. So make sure they're freezer friendly recipes and I'm pulling them out. Or I will have like a pack of bickies or something in the cupboard that I'm happy to give them just for those times when I haven't got around to cooking or baking. So how can you plan for easy lunch boxes that don't have to keep it hard? I'm also doing this for ourselves because part of this lunch process is, for me as a mum, lunch is the hardest thing to remember to eat really well, and yet it makes the biggest difference to how I feel energetically through my entire day. So just having a visual on here's how I'm meal planning for our lunches is incredibly beautiful. And, you know, I would say also I'm looking forward to this year with that because my son has just started to get into, I've been waiting so long for this as a naturopath nutritionist, but he's just started to like get into the zeitgeist of physical, you know, beefing up his body and being healthy in his body. So he's like, all I want is chicken, rice and broccoli. And I'm like, okay, fantastic. You know, like this, and my daughter's into like vegan, vegetarian type of stuff. So whatever I make for me, she loves. So I'm really looking forward to this year because I can see that the lunch boxes that I don't find inspiring but come home eaten is almost, by the time they get to VCE, I'm on the other side of that going, they're eating what I'm eating. And so this whole meal prep has just become more exciting and inspiring to me. But it gets to be exciting and inspiring when you have a system and you have a plan and you're not afraid that you're having the same thing every day for 5 days, because that's how it is sometimes. And I don't think the kids worry about that stuff.
Yeah, it's true. And it's usually us. It's like, oh, I should change it. But if they're on a winner, they're on a winner.
Yeah, it's consistent. They know what to expect. They know exactly what's in their lunchbox and they open it up. This podcast is brought to you by what we have going on in the world that you can jump in on. And Bridgie, what's there for you?
Yeah, so it's Reimagining Motherhood. Really, it is a space for supporting you to integrate conscious parenting alongside the whole woman that you know you are, and really integrating so many of those disowned parts that we are called to remember as mothers and on our parenting journey. So you can find out more about that at bridgetwood.life. And you, Jules?
You can grab my sexy Christmas date. So what you get is an easy to follow, sexy and sensual couples date that comes with a 20-minute guided tantric date workshop video that you get to follow along, press play and follow along. You can gift your partner a special experience or gift each other. Comes with a downloadable PDF guide and a whole heap of sexy playlists. And you can find out more about that at julietenner.love/sexy Christmas. So don't be afraid to keep your lunch boxes just mental load friendly. That might mean, I know every week, like me, I'm just getting brown bread, chicken, salami. Have I got a cracker? Have I got a bar? Have I got something sweet that I've made or is in the fridge, and have I got fruit? Easy. Every week, mental load no longer done. It's just like an automated check the list that happens on the shopping list. Or can I create what I'm eating during the week and create batch, like 3 or 4 days in ahead, that myself and maybe my older kids are eating, or my younger kids, if, you know, they're in primary school and they're really happy to sit there and do that too. So just how can you make the easy lunch boxes so easy that it's nourishing for you on a mental load level and your body?
Beautiful. The last one was give yourself permission.
We had one more. Can I interrupt that?
Oh, yeah, you can. Yes.
Number 3 was...
We did. Sorry, go ahead. Yep.
Number 3 was easy meal planning.
Yeah.
And the reason we want this is because we all know, like, oh, God, everyone has to eat. It's so annoying, like every night.
God,
and it's so annoying. And it's always at the time of the night when you're the most tired, when there's the biggest emotions, and when nobody can be bothered moving anything.
Yeah.
Like, it is such a shit show, really, that it happens at this cataclysmic time where you're like, it's the worst time in the world to have a meal.
Yeah, when everyone's just like, you know, at each other, or they're just like flaking out.
They're overly hungry, overly tired. You can't be bothered. Like, it is such a melting point.
Yeah.
So I just think one of the best survival things, not even survival, but thriving things as a mum, is just, how can I batch cook? How can I throw something in the thermo or the slow cooker or the oven and not think about it? Like, how easy can I make my meal planning? Can I plan my meals a week in advance and do one shop, so I'm not having to fit into my day going to the shops every day and going, what am I cooking today? It is such a waste of your mental space. Do it once, do it well. And how can I batch cook? So if I'm cooking one lasagna, it's just as easy for me to cook two, and there's one in the freezer, and future self will thank me.
Yes. Yeah. And that's such a big thing, because you're already doing all of that anyway. And so how can I just double it? Or
totally, that's how I do it. That's totally how I do it. So how easy can you make meal planning? Because we really want it to be a time where you can free yourself up some emotional, physical space and rest more. So you can be more present to your kids and their feelings. So you can be more present to yourself and your feelings and to your relationship. So just let's make meals easier.
And also too, I would say that, you know, if you're really over it, or if you feel burdened by this task, you know, how can you either upskill your kids or begin to upskill your kids if they're old enough? I know that's something that you started quite young, Julie. And also, how can you like ask your partner to step up and cook on the weekends, or, you know, take responsibility for one of the batch cooks, so that it's not just by default always on you.
Oh my God, yes, I love that you said that. Yes, again, like from the start of our podcast, how could this look different? How could this look more easeful? And yeah, you're totally right. By the time my kids are in grade 6, the expectation is that in grade 6, you're responsible wholly and totally for a meal a week. And that continues on for the lifetime that you're in the house. So my eldest two both cook a meal each a week. My husband cooks on the weekends. So I'm only cooking 3 meals a week.
Yeah, which is great.
It really makes it way more shit easy.
Well,
and you have to be careful.
You have room to cook for pleasure then, as opposed to constantly cooking for just responsibility.
Yeah, totally. Yes. And just how could this look different? Can I do takeout on those nights? Can I just literally, it's breakfast for dinner on those nights. We've had foraging nights where it's just, you can have anything you want. You guys just have to get it for yourselves from the cupboard. Yeah. Can you teach your kids to make eggs or an omelette, or, something that's so easy that it's always like, there's the meal that we do when there's nothing else. We always buy we always have a set of fresh pasta sitting in the freezer. So on those nights where we've got like nothing to give and we've been out all day, in goes an 8-minute pasta and a pasta sauce. Okay, I can let go of the fact that it's not a perfect nutritionally balanced meal, because they are the majority of the time, and it's the 80-20 rule. So how can you let some shit go to just simplify what's happening? Because the truth is, do you really have to do it? And also, is it the best use of your time?
Well, that's where I wanted to go to next, because so often we can get in this trap of feeling so burdened by the responsibilities of motherhood that we crowd out room for ourselves and our creativity, or what drives us. And so then we end up in a resentment cycle of, toward all that's expected of us, not actually realizing that there's room to pivot there. There's room for it to be different.
Yes, exactly. Love it.
Am I kind of like, am I dying by my own sword here?
Yes, exactly. And watch that you don't then, just hyper function when people don't do it.
Yes.
Or don't step up. And I had a perfect one of this this weekend. So my husband cooks weekends, and because it's been really messy for us and we've had teens working and stuff, I've ended up cooking the full 5 days since, since Christmas or something. And so I was thinking, I said to everyone, right, next week we're going back. I'm not doing this anymore. We're going back to the way it was, blah, 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 blah. Everyone's like, yep, no worries. And then the weekend happened, and I was doing some work, and I still can't swim and go to the beach and stuff like that because of my surgery. So I can't take the kids to the beach at the moment. And it was a beautiful day. And so my husband and I said, yeah, you take the kids to the beach. I'll just drive you and pick you up. And then we don't have to worry about parking. Super easy. You know, I'll go for a walk and take my daughter paddleboarding, but I can't sit on the beach and I can't swim with the younger girls. So it's best that you do that job and I'll stay home and do other stuff. He's like, yep, no worries. So we're going to power out this. We're going to drop kids at work. I'm going to do this and take them and da-da-da. And he goes, So what do you want to do about dinner? And I was like, in my head, I'm going, oh, no. You don't get out of dinner just because now you've got to fit in taking the girls to the beach or the kids to the beach. If that were me, my mental load would go, right, we've got to do this, 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 and this. I'm adding in the beach, which means I need to have meals done here or that time, and it has to be like this. And I would do that without expectation. I wouldn't even ask him. And here he is going, oh, but, you know, because this is a new up level for him, what are we going to do? And so I used my beautiful Queen School language and I just looked at him and I smiled. And I said, I don't know. What are we going to do? And in my head, like, I'm fighting this piece of me that's like, you fucker.
You're going to make it, you shithead.
Yes. And the part of me that wants to get on their high horse, if this were me, I would blah, 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 and just minimize the fucking shit out of him. Yeah. I know Queen School me knows that's not the way to get what I want, and that's not the way to motivate him, and that's not the way for all of us to end up in a love bubble. Yeah. So I just told that old mother, my childhood part of me can just chill out. This is what we're doing. And he goes, right. Okay, well, I'm going to quickly go to the shops and I'm going to get that paid. And he did cook dinner before he left for the beach. So it was ready for when they got home. I was like, excellent. But watch your hyper-functioning, because there was a part of me that could have been like, oh, well, you know, you're taking the kids to the beach and in quotes, I'm not doing anything, so I should cook. No, he's capable. Watch your over-functioning.
Yeah, but it's just about being in the tension, like being in your own tension of allowing that, you know, him to come to his, you know, power, I suppose.
Yeah, totally. So number 4 that we wanted to go to was give yourself permission before you up level.
Yeah. So giving yourself permission wherever you're at right now. Like, so even give yourself permission to be in the, oh, fuck, like, you know, this feels overwhelming. At the moment, I feel stuck. Right, too, because sometimes before we up level, there's a stuckness. There's a I've only known it to be this way for this long, and even though I don't like it, it's kind of like better the devil you know than the one you don't. So I feel threatened by my own stuckness. Just accept that, just be with that, but then stay with it long enough to imagine a different reality.
Yeah, yes. And I would also say, like, it's an easy time of year to start, you know, future planning and going, well, the kids are going to be at school or in care, or my week, my life, my week, my year is going to look like this, which means I need to. And all of a sudden you're trying to strategize in the future for a life you haven't yet walked, all of the ways you're going to fill that time. And what I would say to you is just like, whoa, slow down, Nelly, just for a hot little minute, pull on those reins and just go, can I give myself 2 weeks of everybody being in routine before I decide what I can fit in where?
Yeah, before I kind of get really ahead of myself and decide I'm going to conquer the world with my extra 5 hours a week, you know, like to actually allow myself to figure out what this looks and feels like.
Exactly.
How, you know, what is this really?
Yes.
How am I going to feel most fulfilled by this new flow that we're in as a family? And how can I optimize that? But don't go, you know, creating it all before you've actually given yourself a chance to live it.
Yeah, totally. Exactly. So please do yourself a favor and give yourself 2 weeks. And you can just say to anyone who asks, oh, what are you going to do with all of that time? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just going to work out where we're at and then work it out. Just give yourself 2 weeks. You really have to, because you can't yet know what it's like to walk in the shoes of that woman. So deep permission, 2 weeks to not have it figured out while everyone starts their year. That's 2 weeks once school or life or whatever goes back to, in air quotes, normal. Then you're in a place to go, right, this is the capacity, this is what it looks like, here's what I can realistically fit in, do that feels inspiring and wholesome. because or else you are setting yourself up for a crushing defeat.
Yes. Yeah, I love that reminder.
So setting yourself up for an easy back to school. Number 1, get the gear sorted, pick a day, do it now. Have a plan for easy lunchboxes. Don't be afraid to keep the same thing on cycle. Number 3, easy meal planning. How can this look more easeful? And, 80-20 rule also, 20% of your effort yields 80% of your results. How can I batch cook and make this so simple? And number 4, how can I give myself permission before I decide what my next up level for the year is going to be?
Yeah, I love that. So what's going on in your world, Jules?
So you can jump into Sanctum. That is my online course and live women's circle training where we create and hold safe, sacred and sage-like space in circle, ritual and ceremony. And I walk you through how to do that in a really delicious, held, set you up to create the business and life of your dreams. So you can find out more at julietenner.love. And you, Bridget?
Yeah, it's all things reimagining motherhood. So you can find out more about that at bridgetwood.life. Remember to nourish the woman to rock the family.
And we'll see you next week when we continue to peel back the layers on your mothering journey.
Thank you so much for listening. We literally couldn't do this without you. Please share this podcast with anyone you think it would be medicine for.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively into your life, then head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper.
And if you feel like giving back a little to this free content, please rate us on iTunes or Facebook, all of which helps the podcast reach more mamas who need this type of tonic for the soul.